Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation reads like this: "Hello, my brother. How are you? Can you please post my story as hidden identity? My story, my brother, go on like this. I want to confess that I once had this other friend, and this friend of mine, he was really bright in school. And if my mother had not done some evil spells upon his life, I think that right now he could have been someone better in life. And this friend of mine, he is still there in the village, and now I am staying in the city. I cannot say that I am rich or anything, but me and my wife, we are living a very comfortable life. And when I travel back to the village, whenever I see my friend just sitting there drinking beer with some of the old men in the village, I really feel sorry for him, because I know that the state that he is in right now, it was caused by my late mother. If only my mother was still alive, maybe I could have gotten the opportunity now that I am grown up, so that I can tell her and show her that everything that she did was not okay. She is supposed to remove all of those spells that she casted on my friend's life, because he can't progress in life at all. And the things that he does, he even acts out as if he is someone who is suffering from mental illness. When we were still young, my friend's parents, they had their homestead on the other side of the village. Then at the place where my parents had built their homestead, it was the same way that my friend would be using when we would be going to school. So each and every morning, my friend would come and collect me so that we can go to school. And my friend was so bright in school. Each and every time when we would be going to school, my mom, she had this habit of opening up my friend's school books. And when my mom will see that my friend used to get, if we had written an exercise whereby it would be 10 questions, then my friend used to get 9 out of 10, and usually 10 out of 10. And I'll see that my mom will start to criticize my friend. Sometimes will say that my friend is someone who copies, or my friend get a teacher's answers book. But this thing, it never bothered my friend. Even I was not bothered about it, because everyone in school knew that my friend was really bright, especially in maths. It was like he had this other calculator that was always inside his brain, because if a teacher would ask any question that is about mathematics, my friend was always the first one to raise his hand, and he was someone who was able to quickly calculate. Even now, whenever I meet him up in the village, I always give him those mathematics questions. Even when he's drunk, he is able to give you the correct answer. And you'll be holding your phone with your calculator opened up, and you give him a question, and he would then give you the correct answer. The same answer that you would see written on your phone, that is the same answer that you would have given you. So, growing up, my brother, whenever my mom would see my friend holding his books, my mom would say, "Can I have your books?" Then she would go into her bedroom. What my mother used to do is that when my friend was around, she would pretend as if she really favored him and liked him as her own son. But when my friend would have gone, like sometimes she would say that, "I do not want you to go with him." And sometimes when I'll be sitting in the kitchen, then I would see that my mom should be walking around the compound looking for the footprints that my friend would have left behind. Then my mom, I once saw her picking up the soil. When I got out of the kitchen, because I thought that maybe she had seen something, she then threw the soil to the ground, and she pretended as if nothing had happened. But with time, I then started to notice that my friend, he was no longer able to concentrate in school anymore, and he was always distracted. He was now becoming like me. I was someone who can't even concentrate in the things of schooling. If someone tries to teach me a new skill, I find myself not being able to concentrate. Even right now that I am all grown up, I still struggle with concentrating on a task that someone would have given me. So this is the thing that was now happening to my friend. And when my friend started to lose concentration, I don't know what I don't know what happened between my parents and my friend's parents, because one day my friend's mom came and they had an argument with my mother. And at that time, my friend's mother was saying that she didn't want her son to hang around with me, since everyone in the village knew that I was really dull at school. I could not concentrate. So the mother was saying that I was the one who was causing her son to be dull as well. After my friend's mom had left, my mother then went and sat by the kitchen door. We used to have those mud kitchens. I then went to her and I asked her why she was really sad. And she just looked at me and she accused me and she said that, "You see what you have done. You see what you have done. Now he is going to suffer." I didn't know that at that time, my mother, even though she was a witch, she was really regretting all of those things that she was about to do. She then said that because she had told that woman who had came and had an argument with her in her own compound, that she wanted to show her who was more powerful in the night, meaning that she wanted her to meaning that she wanted her to suffer, and she was a witch who was going to wait until it was night time so that she can go and give them spiritual attack. And now that I was trying to have a conversation with her, she was accusing me of making her to bewitch this family, because already she had made it known to some of her friends that she wanted them to accompany her into the night so that they can bewitch that family, even though she was regretting, because it is like there were some consequences that were going to follow her if she was going to bewitch this family. She accused me and she said, "Now you see what you have done, you see what you have caused. Your friend is going to suffer, and you have to know that if your friend is going to suffer, it is all because of you. I told you a long time ago, stop hanging around with him, and you do not even listen. Why can't you hang around your sisters? Don't you have sisters and brothers that you can hang around with?" And at that time, my brother, I only apologized because I was afraid that if I keep on questioning her, then she was going to hit me or do something bad to me. The next morning, we then heard that my friend, he had been locked up in his room because he was being violent with everyone. Then we had the sad news that he had lost his mind. He was running mad. For many, many months, my friend, he was always tied up to a tree during the afternoon because he was mentally ill, and at night they would go and throw and at night they would lock him up in his room. That was when I knew that my mom, she was not to be played around with. She was a witch. I only accepted that my mom was a witch when I was all grown up, because at her funeral there were a lot of strange things that happened. I only got to accept that my mom was a witch. This was when I was all matured and when my mom passed away, because there were some things that happened on her funeral. First of all, the people that were trying to dig her grave, they ended up digging at 5 different spots, because at each and every place where they were digging, they would find out that there was always a rock. And in our culture, if you come across a rock whilst you are digging up a grave, they say that it means that the deceased does not want to rest there. So those men, they ended up picking 5 different spots, just meeting the same rock that they were meeting. At the last grave where they were digging, then water started to rise up from the earth. Where this water came from, no one even knows. But the village headman said that it was already too late. So when my mom was buried, her coffin became so at the place where my mother was buried water was coming out of her grave, and people were saying that by the time that they finished filling up the grave, the coffin was already surrounded by water. That is the way that my mother was buried. But when my mother was still alive, when we were still young, news started going around that my friend had someone bewitching him because he was really bright in school. There was someone who had stolen his mind and placed that on their own son. And this was common practice. If you ask anyone who comes from my country, which is Zim, they can tell you that usually people in the villages that they had their children that were quite bright in school, usually when it came time for them to sit for their final exams, things like that were really bad would happen to them. Some of them, they would lose their mind because people in the village, there will be jealousy, thinking that if this boy will go to university, it means that automatically the parents, they are going to have a good life. So this was a common practice that was being done in the village as people were bewitching each other. And I am here to confess that my mother, she was one of those wicked people that ended up bewitching my own friend because her mother had came and said that I was too dull to hang around with her bright son because she wanted her son to go to university. And when she said that she wanted her son to go to university, I still remember vividly my mom clapping her hands and holding her waist, saying that we are going to see whose son is going to university. And my mother, just like she cursed my friend, he never saw the doors of the university. He ended up being a village man, just as my mother had said. I was able to move out of the village, and my friend is still in the village. Whenever I see him, it pains me a lot knowing that I was the one, I was part of the problem. If I had never been friends with him, maybe he could be enjoying life somewhere, having a family, taking care of his parents, but he is just hanging around the village. And whenever I come across him, he always speak with this certain accent. You can even swear that this man, he once lived in Europe because of his accent, but he has never left our country. He has been hanging around the village as far as I remember.